Yeah, Hamza. Yeah, sorry about that. I knew that I was on mute. I had to get me something poured in my drink. Because it is there's sound on this one. What does that mean? Oh, yeah, there's sound on this one. I had to get myself something poured to drink first so I can be able to talk and go, and took a little longer trying to get some of the stuff set up because Chris is out of town. Chris is spending some time with family, so I don't know. He might swing in, might not. I told him to take the time off, but you never know. Chris might still pop in anyway for a moment or two. I got some on my glasses, and I figure we got a lot to talk about, so we are just gonna skip straight into the show, skip past the intro. Plus, I don't have it up anyway to even play it because for some reason, how I normally have the computer set up, it did not keep everything up, and so I had to open a whole bunch of new links. Hamza says, "Can we talk about Jesse Lee Peters' tweet? My God, he wants to be white so bad." Yeah, yeah, he does. Jesse Lee Peters is a geez. I don't. I mean, the level of self hatred that that man has, it's amazing. I used to think that it was all a game, that he was all just scripted, but maybe not. And I guess with the Jesse Lee Peters, we could hop into like another conservative that I tried to start something with them, but they didn't take the bait, so uh, it was over very quickly. Vivek Ramaswamy and Sagar and Jetty want to be. Oh, we calling them all out tonight. Hey, I mean, in all honesty, I hate to say it this way. I guess I'm gonna be channeling a little bit of Chris tonight. When it comes to a lot of Indian Americans, I'm gonna say it's from in my experience, it's like a 90-10. Like 90% of them want to either be white or identify with white so badly that I mean they can't even contain themselves. But that could be possibly why they're here in the first place. I don't know. We can get in. It could get into a lot of deep thought when it comes to that. Let me hop over to the Rockfin side. See if we have anybody in over there. I know I put up the Rockfin a little bit later, so some of the people on the Rockfin side might be a little bit delayed coming in. And I put this one up a little bit late. Had some stuff going on, but we are here tonight. And for anybody in the chat, as anybody comes in asking for Chris, let them know Chris is off for tonight. So Vivek was rapping "Lose Yourself" to gain. Oh, see, this is what I don't get with some of these people. Pick the lane that you want to be in. Just pick the lane that you want to be in. This whole thinking you can appeal to a bunch of people is a fallacy that a lot of these people have. You can't appeal to everybody across the board like you think. I saw that with Goofy Ass DeSantis up in Iowa, thinking they asked him a question about national standings, and he's like, "Oh, I appeal to all the different." No, you don't. You appeal to a particular demographic, and you're not going to get outside of that. Vivek, you appeal to nothing but conservatives and libertarians. Well, many libertarians are conservatives anyway, who just like to smoke weed and believe in prostitution and drugs. But it's not. I mean, these days it's really not much difference between a lot of, or that's what you can say. Libertarians are like conservatives that are atheists. That's really the main difference. So any of the stuff the Bible tells you not to do, they want to do all that stuff. So that's really the main difference at this point between a libertarian and a conservative. But tonight, our topics we have, of course, we got to talk about the fires out in Maui. If nothing else, just so that we are, talking about it. I don't know how much I can necessarily add to the conversation, but I can at least get the word out there. I see Streets is in the building. What's up, Streets, my man? We're going to talk a little bit about Yaccarino and her statements. I definitely wanted to get into that because I heard she said so much in a couple of different sentences that it was like mind-boggling. Said Dr. Shiva was on Steve's show. I have to make sure to go back and check that out. I mean, whenever I can't catch AM Wake Up live, I typically go back and try to catch it. A lot of times I have to put it on fast forward because it's a 3-hour show. It's a lot to try to dig through with all the other stuff I have on my list too. Libertarian Party has lost members since the Mises Caucus took over. I noticed like the New Hampshire Libertarian Party, man, some of the stuff that they are very, very cringe. Very, very cringe hearing the stuff that they say. So, I mean, I tend to not fuck with them at all. But I don't want to put that as an X against all libertarians. Some of them I think are all right. Some of them who I think are all right and that we can have conversations with, they might have some blind spots on areas, but at least they're open to having a conversation. And so they're open to having the conversations. I can deal with those kind of people, and it's all right to be able to say, okay, well, we're just not going to agree on this, but we can rock together on this, and that's cool. I mean, for instance, I typically don't like to name drop a show saying something, anything where it's negative. But like, I'll give an example. This show I've been watching recently, they do some good work. Don't get me wrong. Do Dissidents. They do some great work. I like a lot of stuff they do, but I think they're blind on a lot of race issues. But while I'm singing them out, they're honestly, that's something that's a problem on the left just in general. And so I can't very much go at libertarians and people on the right, I mean, well, I'll just say, well, let's just leave it to libertarians for the meantime. Libertarians who I may have some stuff that I agree with them on because they have some blind spots there when we got people who are supposedly on the left who have some blind spots in those same areas. So I just think that whenever we're dealing with a lot of the non-Black population, they tend to have some views which are a little cringe sometimes. And I've just had to learn to deal with that. I don't know if I can, since I had to get all this stuff up, it might take me a little longer to put stuff together. But I might, if I have time, throw up the TikTok that I just did the other day. It clipped, well, if I show it, and we'll get into that. But of course, we got to talk about the Alabama boat brawl. I did a TikTok on it, kind of giving, maybe a couple of minutes, like 3 minutes or so, what I thought. I probably easily could have done a part 2 and a part 3 and a part 4 of it. And I guess probably I will talk a little bit about this and probably upload, this will probably be my part 2, part 3 or whatever on that, because there's a lot that I wanted to get into. Let's see. Media Dream said, due distance plays a lot in the culture war, and that's no good. Yeah, I think that their intentions are good though. And the fact that there are 2 Jewish gentlemen who are willing to call out Zionism, I mean, I can rock with that. So, and I'm pretty sure that they get the nuance that anybody who's criticizing Zionism is not criticizing every single Jewish person. And so the fact that they can deal with that nuance, there's room to build on from there. So, just my thoughts there. Chris H asks, at the Political Matrix, thank you for saying that due distance was bad on critical race theory. Yeah, and that's one of the first live streams that I heard them on was talking about I think reparations. And it was a lot of like, ooh. I'm like, I didn't like some of those takes there. And then when I heard them on the affirmative action thing, so some takes I didn't really sit well with me there. And then I just heard some of the critical race theory stuff in the 1619 Project the other day that I was like watching the show, and I want to say 90% of the show, I was with them like for the most part. And then it just had to be that little 10% where I was like, eh. But, you know, that's just how it is. You're not going to completely agree with anybody. And as long as there's some building blocks, because I'm pretty sure there's some stuff that I'm going to say that they ain't going to agree with either. So as long as we can build from there. But I feel like, honestly, when it comes to especially non-black people and you know, some of our brown brothers and sisters, they're not good on those things either. But you know, just in the leftist circles, if it's not a black leftist, majority of the time the takes on racial issues are just it make my head spin. What was it? The politics has, Jared said, the politics has been trending fascist for a while. The Rothschilds are just the latest candy. I don't really know what do you mean by the Rothschilds? Maybe I'm a little off. Why are 90,000 people on Rumble watching? I don't. You got to remember, Hamza, 90,000 people watching him sleep. We literally, did you not see my NPC video? You look at that. Oh, wait a minute. I don't know if you guys saw that. I just did an NPC video on TikTok. So check that one out. He's sleeping with strippers and acts like a conservative Jason Whitlock. Yeah. I'll see Jason Whitlock's recent video. It said people promoting supermarket. Yeah, I stopped listening to Jason Whitlock a while ago. I realized that. And I grew up reading Jason Whitlock's commentary as far as just sports, and I thought it was atrocious then. Meaning I'm like, how are you gonna be from Kansas City and do nothing but shitting on the Chiefs? I mean, I already lost respect for him back then. And then when I heard his race issues, it was another thing. Okay. So let's see. Let me pull up a video. Yeah, a lot of these people are all about the bag, but let me get into one of these first stories. And I know I'll leave it kind of open tonight and get into a lot more of y'all comments. And I'll put this out there because I've already seen one comment. You're saying some stuff that I think is stupid. I'm just not going to acknowledge it. So, and I mean, of course, I can't get to every single comment, but there's somebody who typically gets in who tries to take the show in a different direction, and so typically tend to ignore that person. Well, I'm going to start ignoring that person whenever I see them. It normally turns into a back and forth, and we're not doing that tonight. I'm trying to stay on my shit. Oh, wow, they got rid of the tweet. Okay, let me see if I can find it then. Because, they took it down. I don't know if you guys have heard, but, well, I know this audience. I know you guys have definitely heard. But okay, not there either. All right, let's see if I could just find the story and bring it up about the, let's bring this story up. Because I wanted to bring up the tweet from Jose Vega. Oh, here it is. Cool. Let me share my screen. Like this mean the ladies will DM you about these people later, and as it's well, you know me. If it gets too much into into following these parties and stuff, I mean, no shade to anybody who that's where you're at, but I don't I don't see it as a fruitful venture if you waste. I don't even want to say waste. I'll say spend a lot of time into something that I personally don't believe in. I don't believe that. I believe that the system is far too corrupted to think that there's some political lane that you can strike into. Now, could you work on some groups outside of politics that can build and push on the system and force them to have to do things? Yes. But do I think that you can start any third party and get anything going? No, I don't put a lot of faith in that. All right, so it says here. Ecuadorian presidential candidate Fernando Villavicencio stood up to organized crime just days before he was assassinated in Quito at the campaign event. Come here, I am. Let the drug lords come. Let the hitmen come. Uh, the time for threats is over. Here I am. And last week at the rally in June, uh, he said he would not wear a bulletproof vest despite the death threats he had received. Listen well, they have told me to wear the vest, but here I am in a sweaty shirt. Damn it. You are my bulletproof vest. I don't need it. You are the brave people, and I am brave like you. You're the ones who take care of me. That's what he said. And as you saw, what happened. Now, there's a lot of people who put this on the State Department. There's a lot of people who think that maybe the U.S. ran some kind of attack in there. I don't know. I really don't know. As somebody who spent a whole lot of time paying attention to a lot of stuff that went on with the cartels, especially back in the 90s, the U.S. government, the CIA, did have interactions and dealings and an effect on some of the stuff that was going on in there. But at the same time, cartel leaders and drug lords did hit people on their own without government intervention. So I don't know how much of that we can put on the CIA. Could be them trying to stop him from coming up because he could have been a force to reckon with. I don't know for a fact. But could it have been the cartels at the same time because he was threatening the cartels? That's always possible. So just wanted to at least touch bases and bring that up that presidential candidate was assassinated in Ecuador, whether we talk about it or not. Yes, did I see the Meg Thee Stallion case? I saw Tory Lanez got 10 years, which is crazy to me. Wow, 10 years for shooting a woman in the foot, which honestly, this is more Chris's wheelhouse. I kind of hear from him and lean to him on a lot of that stuff. But I think it's kind of wild that even if it was like, I'm like, are they saying that he was trying to kill her or attempted murder, or was this just aggravated battery with a deadly weapon? I mean, what was the exact charges that he got 10 years? Because it's like there are people out there who have. I'm trying to remember. What was it? Henry Ruggs, which I think OJ in fact came out and was like, I got more time for trying to take my merchandise back than this dude got for driving 160 miles an hour and killing a woman and a dog. I mean, this dude is probably going to be back on the field in no time playing football, and he took a woman's life. And honestly, Tory Lanez is going to get more time than Henry. Let me see if I can find how much time did Henry Ruggs get. So he got 3 to 10 years for running a woman over. driving 160 miles an hour and killing a woman. He got 10 years in prison. Or, well, 3 to 10 years. Tory Lanez is getting 10 years right off the bat. Something right there is not adding up to me. I mean, and then, like I said, OJ got more time for taking back the merchandise that was his. I don't know. Somebody explain that shit to me. You said, can we talk about 50 years of hip hop? Sure, Hamza. What's up? What would you like to discuss about it? That it was beautiful as it came out, and it got corrupted along the way, and vultures came into our community and poisoned the music and kept talented, positive artists suppressed while they pushed nothing but a bunch of crap eventually. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I remember the days when it all wasn't negative, and now it seems if you're not saying something negative, you will not blow up. And then that gives a lot of those people who have more of a racist ideology. Let me look my camera a little. Those people who have more of I would say, a racist ideology, who are always point to, well, look at what rap music, like every black person is co-signing, songs like Throat Baby and Sukihana and all that shit. It's ridiculous. I think about all the years when I used to want to rock with somebody like, a Mos Def or Common and people and even a Talib Kweli before he went like super liberal. Those people couldn't get, that type of airplay and pushed up. So I don't know. Chris A says, a lot of conservatives are saying that George Floyd killing was a lost flag to make people destroy society. To me, they're talking racism, but I want to see how you feel. What I think it is because this is one question which I've asked people. If you believe, well, I haven't heard as many of them say the false flag angle. What I've heard a lot of them say is, well, it wasn't the knee on his back. The knee on his neck. It was that he had fentanyl in his system. And I'm like, so your theory is without police intervention at all, he would have went along his day and he wouldn't have died. I mean, is that what you're saying? Or are you saying that, he would have died regardless of if the police intervened? And that's just nonsense to me. When I was married, my wife's brother was a drug addict. The police one night he was having a bad reaction to drugs that he was on. He was banging on the doors hotel doors trying to get help, trying to get somebody to call the police. Because of the way the cops held him down, he died of asphyxiation. So though the drugs were having an effect on him and possibly could have killed him, the way the police decided to restrain him led to his death unquestionably. So in the case of the George Floyd, even if you want to try to use this whole fentanyl argument, you can't take any accountability off police. Also, where do you guys get the theory that you can kneel on somebody's neck for damn near 10 minutes and that just has no effect on them? Because I asked all of them, how about I get a bunch of people to sit on your back and then I kneel on your neck for 10 minutes and then we'll see if you die or not. I mean, I'm like, well, anybody want to take that gamble and see how that works out? I mean, it's mind-boggling to me because people say shit like this and never think about the fact of they never put themselves in the shoes of it. They already had him in the fucking police car. Why did he need to be taken out of the police car for them to put him on the ground while he's cuffed and put knees on it? That doesn't even make any sense. He's already cuffed. And then when you start going into the fact that Derek Chauvin knew him previous to that, and they had all kind of other beefs, and you don't factor none of that shit in. In fact, the other cops had him in the car. Derek Chauvin is called, and he comes to the scene, and that results in his death. But nobody think that bears anything into it. I don't know. I mean, what's up, Gregory? I see Gregory's in the building. Yes, said, how dare you, Marcus? Sugar Hill is organic. I love Sugar Hill. The old school hip hop, I don't have a problem with old school. I didn't even have a problem back to when it was Bone Thugs and in the early 90s, but where it went to shortly after that, it went in a very negative angle, and it went there because of record execs. They wanted that narrative, and if you go into like which one was it? Was it Crazy Bone who broke down about the prison and industrial complex and how it was all tied into that? And then you see, what happened on the legislative side with the mass incarceration movement. All of this stuff was engineered, and that's what my issue is. In this day and age, a Sugar Hill could never make it. A Kumo D, none of the old school hip hop heads could make it right now because of the way the industry is. They will be forced to do something that is not them just to stay legitimate in this era. Yeah, it's a lot that people. It's just like that Utah situation, which I wanted to talk about. Let me pull that story up. Oh, now the story pops up. It wouldn't pop up before the video about the Ecuadorian president. I don't know why it's doing weird stuff, but for some reason that's what it's doing. So let me find the other story. Yeah. So. And this is my point on this stuff. I notice, especially with conservatives, and I won't even say conservatives. I'll say people who tilt or lean right. I notice that they look at everything very, very differently. It's a wait and see, and let's hear all the facts when it comes to other people. Oh, good one, Chris H. Talking about Arrested Development, Mr. Wendell. Yeah, man, that was good music back then. That was the hip hop that I missed. Yeah, Liar Cohen, Jimmy Iovine. Man, bro, do we really need to go through the list of the executives who are the ones who have poisoned this industry? Anyone watch Marianne Williams, George Floyd, Dawkins? Marianne Hennon? No, I did not watch that. Gregory Walker, tell us more about it, sir. And definitely, Pun was my man. Not in that kind of way. I know people think some weird stuff out there. I guess at this point now, kind of an old head and speak a little bit differently. Brand Nubian, yes, that's another good one. And while we at it, y'all throw in more of y'all favorite hip hop groups that were worth a damn. I met a few people who had dealing with Liar Cohen. Their take on him, he's the devil. Yes, a lot of those record execs are the goddamn devil. A lot of them are, and they're the ones who poisoned it. And the thing about it is, they know what they were doing. They were putting out. I mean, think about it now. You got ones like Cardi B who talks about this what do they call it? City girl summer and doing all this ratchet stuff. When they go home to their husband and they're a nice, they have this nice, loving, like husband and wife dynamic, and she's cooking dinner for her man and pampering him, and they taking care of each other, and then trying to raise the kids responsibly, and then get on the record, and then basically put out music that encourages women to do this thought-like behavior. I mean, that's another good one. Big Daddy Kane, Kumo D. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. 3 Times Dope. Who else was? Oh, De La Soul, Brand Nubians, Kwame. Yeah. EPMD. It's a lot of them that this industry pushed them out of the way. Oh, Public Enemy. They ain't even. Public Enemy was a problem for the industry. They had to push them out. And I mean, if you listen to like Professor Griff right now, he'll let you know what was going down. Which one of these days I'm gonna reach out and hopefully I can get Professor Griff on. It's a lot that I want to talk to him about. A whole lot that I want to talk to him about. I never got around to it, but it's about some conspiracy about a snitch that says George and the cop were both hitmen for a drug cartel. I never heard that, but I did hear that apparently like that George Floyd might have been messing with they might have been messing with the same woman or something about bounce or whatever. I didn't really mess with Lord Jamar. Some of the stuff I'm not gonna try to go after the dude. I don't really know him like that. I just know sometimes I hear him say some wild stuff and I'm like, bro, what are you talking about? But it's a different topic. Snow was fire. I don't know who Snow was, but yeah. But y'all keep shouting out your favorite hip hop artists. Let's see. So, FBI shoots man, kills Provo man accused of threatening President Biden. Oh, wait a minute. Let me drop this down for a minute. I want to get the video up too. Oh man, it was doing so good last week. Of course, it has to freeze again this week. Of course, it has to freeze. Come on, catch up. Lord Jamar is very conservative. I know him personally. Oh, I could tell he's very conservative. He says some. He's kind of conservative. Oh, Denver in the building. What's up? Yeah, Fat Boys. Oh man, did you what was that movie Denver where they were orderlies? Do you remember that movie? I'm trying to remember what it was called. He's part of the 5 percenters. I think and Hotep Jesus too. I think they kind of more in that same lane. And I let them do what they need to do over there. I let them do their thing. See, hopefully this thing doesn't keep Chubb Rock. Whoa, I ain't heard that name in a minute. Let's see, how old are you, Hamza? You knowing all this stuff? You must be older than I think you are. Yeah, I mean, it didn't appear that way to me, him car either, but he couldn't really see him either. He couldn't see when Derek Chauvin showed up because the other cops pulled him out and then put him on the ground. Derek Chauvin came in later on while he's already on the ground. Let's see. Oh, that's what I want to do. So let me pull this up. And where is that video? It's always the nights when I got a bunch of clips that I want to share with y'all. This thing starts giving me problems. Always. Let's see, is this the one? Okay. This is the clip they shared. that's right. I already have that one up. Where is it? Where is it? Where is that? Well, anyway, I guess I can go. I can go in and click the story and back out of this. Let me just click the story. Let's see. Yes, dragging. Chris H says Miriam Hennon exposes herself as a white supremacist at the end. What was it? Come back up. It says it exposes herself as a white supremacist at the end of the same documentary using a clip she puts at the end of the real timeline documentary. I don't know. I'm gonna have to investigate into that. I don't know. I don't know. Let's see. Heavy D and the Boys. Oh yeah. Run DMC. Yep. Black Eyed Peas. Black Eyed Peas is still holding it down though. But if you look into some of the story with Black Eyed Peas, the original female that was in the group, she ended up having to dip out because she wouldn't, sexualize herself as much as what's the one? I can't remember. I'm drawing blank on the female who's in there now. Or I don't know. Is she still in there? Is she separate? I don't know. But so Dev, Salt and Pepper, Queen Latifah, MC Light, Moni Love. Yeah, those are some awesome, great ones. DJ Intervader. You lost me there. I don't even know about that, Mrs. Street. I don't even know. Eric B. and Rakim, of course. Ice Cube. Queen Latifah. Grandmaster Cass or Flash? Let's see. Fergie, that's who it was. She was replaced by Fergie. And it's because Fergie was willing to dress more sexy. Because that was what they put. Oh, Mr. Streets brought Blondie into the picture. Forgot about Blondie. Blondie had a couple hits there too. Oh yeah, y'all getting in there. Let's see. I think I heard I mention this. A Cillian Freestyle Fellowship. I don't know about that one. I'm gonna have to look into it. Send it to me on Instagram, Gregory. Well, that's the one thing. That's my only issue with some of the stuff from the right. Good. You should be skeptical of all of this stuff going on. But I feel like some people who lean to the right, they take a lot of this stuff on very, very, very thin evidence and don't try to, build on it and source everything out or double check every single thing they're talking about. And so they throw out stuff or they intentionally fabricate, some of the details of stuff. And then you lose your credibility when you're trying to over exaggerate shit. Let's see. Am I frozen? Let me stop the camera since I'm frozen. I can't do much of anything. All right. So let me click this article. Pull it up. So let's get off to this story. Then I'll keep hopping back and forth to you guys' comments. Says, all right, get rid of cookies. Says a man was shot and killed by FBI agents in Provo Wednesday morning after FBI agents approached his house to serve warrants. Previously, the man had made threats towards President Joe Biden and others on social media. The warrants were served hours before Biden landed in Salt Lake City. FBI spokeswoman said the shooting occurred in the area of 500 North and 1200 West. While the FBI was serving a warrant, the incident began when special agents attempted to serve arrest and search warrants at the residence. The subject is deceased. The FBI takes all shooting incidents involved. Our agents are task force members seriously. According to court documents obtained by KSL-TV, the suspect, Craig DeLue Robertson, made Facebook posts threatening the life of President Biden, who is arriving in Utah on Wednesday. I hear Biden is coming to Utah, digging out my old ghillie suit, cleaning the dust off my M24 sniper rifle. Welcome, buffoon in chief. Read one of Robertson's Facebook posts referenced in court documents. So, I don't know. I wonder if I'm back up and you guys can see me now or not, or if it's still acting crazy. But when you make comments like that, it wasn't like, man, I wish somebody would bump Biden off, or the issue with that is you were extremely direct in what you're saying. And the reason why the reason why the FBI probably showed up on him like that, because I read some comments that people said. Let me put this back on the screen. I read some comments that people said and was like, all kind of people threaten the president, but they don't come running to shoot them up and do anything like that. And these people put 75-year-old man needed a cane to walk, was selected for extermination by the FBI. Notice that none of the actual death threats against Trump led to a response. Dark times indeed. Read the book Ordinary Man. Well, here's something. If somebody who's an accountant says, oh, I wish I could kill Trump, they don't pay any attention to that, because that's not somebody who's shown an ability, for one, to be a threat. It doesn't matter if you're on a cane or a hover round. If you do have background experience in shooting, you don't need to walk to be able to shoot necessarily. And talking about dusting off my M24, M24 is a long-range 50 cal sniper rifle. And talking about ghillie suit, he might have said he had a cane or whatever. He might need a cane, but and I don't know what this guy's background is or history. I mean, the fact that he says he has a ghillie suit, I don't know if that's a ghillie suit that he uses just for hunting, or if this guy does have a military background. If this guy, let's say in his background, was an actual military sniper and he makes a threat like that, you better damn well sure believe the FBI is going to take it serious. And they come with the threat level that they feel they need to per incident. I remember in high school when a kid was like, oh, I think I want to kill the president. This was a middle school kid. Do you guys realize the FBI came to that library where that kid was at and arrested him? Now, they let him out right after that, and he got a warning and everything. But if you make a threat, they are going to come and check in on you. That's just how the game works. And if you are somebody who is known to have a whole lot of weapons, they're going to take it as, well, we need to bring weapons because just in case this shit goes sideways. And so, for one, I would call this, well, and how do we know that this guy's first response was he didn't pull out his gun and start shooting at the police? We don't know what happened. Body cam footage or whatever will come out. But what I noticed is, and please remind me, everyone, that one guy who he was standing on somebody's couch. Police just kicked in the door and he reached for his gun and the police killed him. I heard everybody on the right talking about comply with the police and he should have went for his gun, all kind of stuff like that. And it's just weird to me how when it's this black guy who legally has a firearm, it's all these people saying, well, he should comply with police and he shouldn't have done this and he should have done that and he should have done all these things. But when it's this old white guy, it's never even a consideration that he could have took a shot at the police, that he could have, it's automatically, this guy had to be innocent and he was just assassinated. And I just find whenever it's people from the right, they always go with this mentality of, if it's somebody white from the right, they were in the innocent, and obviously the police just targeted them for assassination. And if it's somebody black, whether they're on the left or whether they're non-political or not, it's always somehow their fault. And my only thing is, I just wish that we kept it consistent. When it was the Tony Temple situation, when it was the Daniel Schaefer situation, you guys know on this channel when we talk about these things, we kept the same energy. We felt the police were wrong in the situations like the George Floyds and all that, and we felt they were wrong in this situation. I mean, in that situation. We don't know what this guy did or nothing, but these people are already jumping to the, well, obviously they assassinated him. And obviously it's the FBI who was doing something completely wrong. That's what happened. The Ralph Yarl situation. I heard these same people who were rushing to this guy's defense argue that maybe it was something that Ralph Yarl must have done for the guy to shoot him. The same thing with that woman in Florida, the Suzanne whoever, who shot the black lady through the door who made the racial comments. It seems like whenever it's somebody who's on the right or white, there's this quick rush to defense. But whenever it's somebody who's black or brown, it's always a rush to guilt. And I just want everybody to just pay attention to this pattern that we always see. I mean, it's frustrating that it always ends up being this way. But let me try to hop back over to Rockfin side. Even though I know I'm frozen probably over there. Let's see. Thanks him car. Keep critical. Oh well, yeah, I'm frozen on there, but I guess I can see the comments. Man says, man, you can't say that shit. He said, yeah, I mean, you should not say what he literally made a specific threat that I'm going to pull out my M24 and get in my ghillie suit. And when the police probably looked him up, they probably realized this dude probably does actually have an M24. Oh, good. You can see me. You can't, just like Denver said, you can't make threats like that. But all of these people are, see, they're persecuting him. And they make it like the FBI. I mean, do we realize how many threats that the FBI responds to? Every time you threaten, and it seems like it's something that's possible, that could be in the realm of possibility, they're going to at least come out and talk to you. Even when it's not possible, you can be a high school kid talking about, you know what, if I could, I would do this to the president. Like I said, they came out to one of the high schools when I was in high school for a kid that made a threat on who was president then? Clinton, who made a threat on Clinton. So they do it. It's not a left versus right and a right versus left. The FBI is going, if you make a threat, they're going to come after you. And I think a lot of people lose focus that the FBI is a massive organization with a bunch of different, you have an FBI section that deals with presidential threats alone. You have one who deals with terrorism. You have one which deal with mail fraud. You have another one which deal with, there's so many different things which they're dealing with. You have a group which are dealing with human trafficking. You have a group which are dealing, I mean, with so many different lanes that the FBI is dealing with. So this mentality, and I hear like I think Vivek Rama Crappy was talking about he wants to shut down the FBI, and I'm like, okay, because at this point I'm like, I don't. At this point I'm like, just do it. All the crazy shit that y'all want to do, just do it. Just do it, and we'll see how it goes on. But I hear people say, you know what? Let's just get rid of all the prisons. No more prisons at all. Let's just do it. Do all the crazy shit. And we'll just see how it works. Just do it all. Even though you know this guy has just murdered 17 people and ate their livers and kidneys, let's just not have a jail for him. Let's not house him anywhere. Just let him go back home and do what the hell he wants to. I mean, let's just get rid of everything. Let's see now. Okay, now I can finally see again over here. See, Baba is in the building. All right. Ooh, now I can see. Whoa, a lot of comments just caught up. The thought police, a growing industry. Oh yeah, definitely. Thomas says, "Oh, really? I didn't know where Fergie originated from. They just plucked her off the streets, basically. She was kind of doing her own thing single, and they plugged her into the group." Yeah, gotta. I mean, we gotta all be careful what we say online. I mean, I always throw out. That's the reason why a lot of times when I say something or Chris says something, I give out all these disclaimers. I know that Chris doesn't mean everything exactly the way he's saying it sometimes. You got to put those disclaimers out there because if you don't, there are idiotic people who are going to, and I don't know, maybe these people really believe or that are not clever enough and they literally need disclaimers. It's just like when we were growing up, there wasn't warning labels on everything, and we still somehow made it. Like, you know, many of us grew up in the era when you didn't ride a bike with a helmet, when you climbed trees and had broken bones, and when they were like you're gonna poke your eye out, and we never did. And so it was a certain era that okay, you didn't need to be explained everything, but now in this day and age, it's almost like everybody needs to think like they're their own personal lawyer. Everybody needs to put every possible disclaimer out there because somebody is waiting to twist your words. I don't know if that's because we're just dealing with a lot more disingenuous people or people have just gotten dumber. I mean, I think it could be a combination of more, or maybe it's not that everybody's necessarily gotten dumber. I think there's more platforms for more dumb people to speak. That could be another part of it. Let's see. Yeah, Vivek is a clown. Won't even waste time on him. We need the prison industrial complex and we need private prisons dismantled, but we still need prisons for the most insane and evil. Yeah, see, and that's what I try to explain some of these things with nuance. Do we need to have a system which is intentionally funneling people to prison right and left to keep them in there because it's a for-profit industry? No, we don't need that. We needed to be back to sensible levels of when somebody actually did something where they need to go to prison, they go to prison. But now we have it to a point where this is about profit margins. This is why many people are going to jail. That's the reason why 85% of the people in there for nonviolent offenses? They're finding ways to just lock more people up. When if you look at crime in general, the crime rates overall have been constantly going down. Yet, if you look at social media, you think everything's getting worse and worse and worse. I mean, especially especially the feed which I get, which feeds me a lot of conservative commentary. A lot of these conservatives are making it like white people need to fear black people. Black people are on the attack. That's what I'm seeing. Now, could just be the algorithm, the way it's feeding it to me. I don't know what you guys are getting out there, but that's what I get a lot of. Definitely mental illness is getting worse. I agree, Oz. It is definitely getting worse. Some of that has to do with, I think, just the oversaturation of information, good information and bad information. You have people who don't have the ability to, you know, you have people who are also getting at their wits' ends and frustrated in this system in many different ways. So, I mean, I think it's a mixture of things. Yeah, I mean, I'm not like I look at Twitter. I'm not going to go anywhere. And yes, I'm still probably going to call it Twitter for a long time because I think X is a very dumb branding name. It doesn't flow well for me. It seems like you're trying to make it akin to like Malcolm X and True that, and I just don't like it. I think it's horrible. Um, no, it's the rise of trauma built into our system. It attacks the children and mothers and the mothers. I think it also has the fact of so many people uh, they shelter they shelter their kids, and so we have more and more people who have grown up in sheltered, safe space environments, um, and then those people have been able to push the narrative on how society is going to run. Therefore, making some people who did grow up with tougher skin, they're starting to fall into the thin skin, not be able to handle things. And I mean, was everything that we grew up with necessarily great because it was jacked up and crazy? Not necessarily. But we all dealt with things better. Is racism brand new? No. But I grew up dealing with racism and it happened. It pissed me off in the meantime and dealt with it, but we moved on. We dealt with something, we dealt with it, and we dealt with things as they came to us. And I feel like there's less people who are tolerating and a far less nuance. It's like when I hear a lot of these people who talk about we need to obliterate capitalism. There's literally like 10 different forms of capitalism. Yet everybody takes the worst example of it and brandish that as what it all is. Just like there's various different forms of many of these governmental systems. But they, like the people who are the communists and socialists, some of them take only the one good example of it. And then they make it as if that's what it's going to be like when I do it. Um, Tammy says, when I think of Twitter X, I think of softcore porn. Well, I mean, you're not too far off because Twitter is rampant with softcore porn now. It is rampant with it. I think before they didn't even allow it, but now it is rampant. Let's see, what do we got over here on the rock fins before I switch over? Okay. Yeah, yeah, I guess one of these days I do need to get into Cornell West because I hear Cornell West has been getting blasted lately, and I do want to talk about that, but I haven't spent the time on it yet. Since we already start bringing up Twitter, I think it's time for us to go into what was your name? Yaccarino. Hold on a second. Thanks. Um, So let me see if I can get this up and the signal won't keep acting crazy on me. All right. So let's see. Let me switch it over and try to find that real quick because I know you guys have heard the sweet. So let's see. Let's share screen. All right. Yes, let me read a couple of those comments before we get into it. Yeah, unfortunately, Bob, I think we can't get away from the personal information. I think everywhere we go, they are exploiting our information. Atris, what's up? Says, I think it's the people's lives are getting worse. And with Twitter, people are always highlighting problems, nothing positive. We know it's all bad, but one can fix anything. No one can fix anything. Well, I think the problem is it's because we are in the news and politics and in this particular lane. I mean, keep in mind, there's a lot of people who get on here who only care about sports, who are only caring about entertainment, who are doing a whole lot of other stuff. And that's honestly where they make the bulk of their money from all these other things. Us who are in the political wing, we're not the bulk of what's going on, especially us who don't fall in the two-party paradigm. But let's switch over here and let's put this on.
Impressions remain staggeringly, they take it down. And that reducing that hateful content from being seen.
Let's see, how far did we get? Did I get? Oh, man, I don't even think we get. What, 7 seconds in? And it's already problematic. This woman is talking about staggeringly, they pull down the harmful content. Do you know how much stuff I see in my feed that pushes on a narrative of, black versus white? There's so much, I would say, definitely anti-black content on the level of anti-black content that's on Twitter these days is, I mean, increased by like 100-fold. I don't even know what the numbers would be, but you got, what is it, the Tom Jong, whatever, Tong Tong, whatever, stupid name. I don't know, something Jong, whatever. He has a huge account. He puts out a whole bunch of stuff. Then there's all these other like accounts which hundreds of thousands, millions of thousands, which all they do is anti-black content. That's all they do, literally 24/7. So why is Twitter promoting Jackson Hinkle hard recently? Well, Jackson Hinkle's been able to blow himself up, and Jackson Hinkle's gotten big. That's why you're seeing more and more Jackson Hinkle. I think last I saw on his page, he's like at 300,000 subscribers. That's why Jake Shields, that's another one. Jake Shields' account is nothing but anti-black rhetoric. You have a lot more people. What's the other one? What's Andrew Tate's brother's name? He does tons and tons of anti-black content. Now, granted, they rotate between LGBTQ, LGBTQ, the trans argument, Democrats are the devil overall, and then back to black people are pieces of shit. Tristan Tate, yes. They literally stay on these handful of topics on rinse and repeat, and that's all they do is over and over and over these handful of topics. And you can't even, like, there's so many people with, I put it this way, before Elon got onto Twitter, I don't even think I blocked anybody. I mean, I think over the years I've been on Twitter, I've maybe only blocked like 1 or 2 people. And that's because we got into tiffs back and forth. But now I probably I'm not even on it that much, and every couple of days I'm blocking somebody new because their whole feed is full of nothing but just anti-black rhetoric. And you guys know we're on some of the whole trans issue stuff. We push back too on some of that stuff that's going on. But the way this has been going, it is horrendous. Isn't Andrew Tate half black? Wow. I didn't know that, but that doesn't surprise me. Sneeko. What's another one? Yeah, somebody said, who was the other one? The Zerka guy, but John Zerka is part of the Fresh and Fit crowd, which even though one is black and Arab and the other one is a Haitian black man, they both have a whole lot of anti-black rhetoric on their own channel. So, I mean, that's another issue. See, Jackson with his, and that's the thing. I don't know what Jackson is now. I think he's rebranded himself as a conservative. I don't know. I know when he went on Piers Morgan show. Think about it. Jackson is at the point now he goes on Piers Morgan. And I have to admit that on the Ukraine part, he clearly destroyed him. But on a lot of other stuff, and Jackson's kind of made it that's his angle now. That's his lane. That's what he focuses on more than anything. Russia, Ukraine, Russia, Ukraine, Russia, Ukraine. And he stays on that. So on that front, I agree with him on a lot of things, but that's beside the point. Let's get back to this. Oh, actually, no. I wanted to click Rockfin real quick, see what y'all are saying over there. The Tates or Pence. How the fuck is that conservative? Yeah, I don't get it either. I don't get it either, Gregory. Denver says, just to be clear, Yaccarino was the head of ad council with NBC Universal Comcast. She was essentially the lady playing the major comms role, lying and coordinated the campaign for the win. It makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense, Denver, when you put it that way. Because that's what she's come over here to clean up the image of Twitter, to make it not look like what it is. I mean, so that makes perfect sense. That she's been brought in just to be a nice, good little liar, and to try to soften the image of what Elon Musk is turning Twitter into.
Is one of the best examples how X is committed to encouraging healthy behavior online. And today, I can confidently sit in front of you and say that 99.9% of all posted impressions are healthy.
How do you define healthy, though? Is porn healthy?
Got her. Good question. She asks, is porn healthy? Because, I mean, they're definitely pushing a whole lot of that on there now. And also, how do you define what's healthy? I mean, if a person aren't we allowed to have our own different political beliefs, even if they're atrocious? How do you define what's healthy? What if you believe Trump is a great president? Does that make you healthy? If you think he's a horrible president, does that make you healthy? If you believe that there's 75 genders, does that make you healthy? Do you believe that what are the terms that we're going on to define what's healthy? Because I guarantee you there's no clinical shrink being brought in on this. And even if it was, I guarantee you that clinical shrink would have a bias also leaning to one party or the other. If you go into many psychiatrists, there was a time when they used to say if you were gay, that was a mental disorder. And so if even the whole trans thing would be even more considered a mental disorder. Then you have the ones like you go back to, like, for instance, ancient Greece. A lot of the Greek philosophers felt like if you didn't mess with young boys, then you are completely enlightened. So what are we defining any of these parameters on? How do we know what is actually healthy and what's not? I mean, you'll have the FDA come out in one breath and say, you know what, if you have too much chocolate, the sugar in it is bad for you. And then turn around a year later and say, you know what, you need to have a chocolate bar, dark chocolate, every at least 2 or 3 a week, and then that's good for your heart. Or you should drink milk. Oh, but no, you shouldn't drink milk because it's bad and it can calcify your bones. And then you look at how what went on with the whole pandemic. You had the main narrative, which was saying, well, this is healthy and that's not healthy, and you should be doing X, and you should get this, and you shouldn't get that, and you shouldn't do this, and you shouldn't use that. And then many of the things which they said, they've been proven wrong on. How do we define what's healthy and what's not healthy? Especially when you have a country of 350 million people, and you have literally billions of people on this platform, which have tens of thousands, if not millions, of different ideologies and ways that they view what's good and what's bad. I heard somebody say once about, like, a gang member. Some people can say, well, murder is wrong. And this person be like, well, I know that person killed my brother. Well, murdering him is just in my eyes. How are we gauging anything, really, for her to say that, oh, well, we're taking down harmful content or whatever?
Are conspiracy theories healthy?
Are they not healthy? How do we know? Are conspiracy theories healthy? Are they not healthy? How do we know if it's actually just a conspiracy theory and it's not something that might actually be true? I mean, I believe at this point, it's been proven that we can't trust the official narrative on anything. So how do we know what's true, what's healthy, what's not healthy? I don't know. I'll finish this and then I'll try to get back over. Wow, only made it 35 seconds. Let's see what some of you are saying. I don't want to get too ahead. Let's see. Oh crap! Come on, Signal. Okay, if it'll let me. Jackson has a huge international audience. That's what BioLex was saying. That makes sense. Yeah. McDonald's is unhealthy, but I guarantee you they have it on their platform. Yeah, Jackson is big. So that's part of a lot of liberal content is anti-white, but nobody talks about that. Some conservatives talk about they're made to look racist. I don't even think that's all conservatives. I just think it's the conservatives that have the biggest platforms. A lot of them push a lot of that. But also at the same time, Biolabs, I would push back and say neither party is necessary necessarily not anti-black. I I could almost say that I don't want to hear it, but I could almost say that I respect the ones from the right a little bit more, that they'll at least be honest in their sentiment towards me. Whereas the liberals a lot of times pretend that they're on my side, but yet always are the ones that stab me in the back. And what that tells me is, if I got this one stabbing me in the front and I got that one stabbing me in the back, it's time for me to just back away from both. That's the only safe spot to be in, and let them get back to arguing amongst themselves. That's why me and Chris, we just kind of give our perspectives, you know. And we sit in the so-called peanut gallery. All right, let's see. Man, come on, Signal. Intel probably won't go super long tonight if this keeps doing this. Jackson with his MAGA communism, Putin is a god one-on-one content. Yeah, he's a little over the top with it, I would say, definitely. Yeah, Jura said, Tammy, I've been seeing porn on Twitter since 2001. I hadn't been seeing it, so I couldn't believe it. Now they like your post. Well, I haven't been on Twitter since 2001 either. I got on to like 2017, I want to say. When I first got on, 2016, 17, something like that. Now they like your post to try to cop a follow so they can send you a link in DM. Yeah, I have so many of these like porn bots following me. It's ridiculous. I mean, one of the accounts which I don't even hardly post or tweet anything on, and I still am tons of them. And I noticed on my two main accounts, which I'm on, the Political Matrix and the Young Morpheus one, for some reason I just keep losing followers like crazy. Now I don't know if maybe this is a bunch of the people, the more liberal people from back in the day who follow, and maybe they're getting rid of their accounts. I don't know, but I've been noticing my follower counts just constantly keep going down and down and down. Jackson is reportedly about Africa recently. Really, Hamza? You have to tell me more about that, because some of his stuff that he says, I heard him, he got on some of that more right-wing stuff. I mean, like some of his reparation talk, I was like, whoa, I didn't know that's how you really felt. So Jackson has been hanging around infrared Haas for Haas conservative communists. A lot of people were to conservative communists. Oh, I don't know. Wow, that's interesting, Chris H. Thank you for the update. All right. Hold on 1 second, everybody. Sorry about that. I'm back. Let's see what else we got. I just posted, I don't believe in MAGA communism today. Yeah, I don't know. The whole MAGA communism thing just doesn't make any sense, because In order for you to have the MAGA communism thing, that would mean that Trump would have to be about communism, and that doesn't make any sense. Also, I have a hard time with a lot of these people because it's like they're conflating cultural issues with economic policies. Like when we're talking about communism, this is a cultural policy. Uh, Sorry about that. I'm back. All right, but let me hop back over to this and hop back into these comments. Um, so,
You know, it goes back to my point about our success with freedom of speech, not reach. And if it is lawful,
freedom of speech, not reach. And I guess as long as you pay for it. That's what, as long as you pay for your freedom of speech, you can say about anything. But if you don't want to pay, your speech is going to be restricted. That's what we see here. And I mean, it's a private company, so they have the right to do it. In all honesty, I feel because Twitter is so big and it's kind of almost like a town square that everybody kind of has to go to, even though now a lot of the people who would have been on the outskirts of that town square, um, the more bigoted type people are able to have a larger platform because they're willing to pay for it. I feel like we're not getting a full balance of what it used to be. Before, it just used to be, you know, I would see equal amount of conservative versus shit lips. And then you had all the other people, the anarchists, the leftists, some of the kind of libertarians who kind of were kind of lean to the right, but weren't all the way to the evangelical conservative right. Were kind of, you know, made of the rest. But now it's just a heavy, hardcore slant to the right. Whereas the libertarians, you know, you're starting to see a lot more of them, which that's cool. You get more conservatives, you're getting more of the evangelicals, and you're getting a lot more of just outright racists who are on there. So if this is what you're signing up for and you want to like for, okay, let's keep it going, Linda.
but it's awful. It's extraordinarily difficult for you to see it.
But how many millions of people follow Kanye West? Lawful, but awful. And he's allowed back on.
And I want to stop that. Kanye West ain't necessarily even awful. I mean, does Kanye West say some stupid shit every now and then? Yeah. But he's definitely not worse than a Jake Shields. He's definitely not worse than a lot of the people who are on Twitter. But this is her interview, and this is how she sees things.
You know, Kanye, who hasn't rejoined the platform yet, but is planning to do so, will operate within the very specific policies that we have established, that we're clear on, that everyone who's watching this or listening on Spaces can access themselves. And
so let me get this right. Kanye, when he comes on, he's going to be held to this scrutiny, which Most of these other bigger platforms who say a whole bunch of horrendous shit are not held to. Got it.
We have an extraordinary team of people who are overseeing, hands on keyboards, monitoring all day, every day to make sure that that 99.99% of impressions remain at that number. But we also have to remember what's at the core of free expression. You might not agree with what everyone is saying. We want to make it a healthy debate and discourse, but free expression at its core will really, really only survive when someone you don't agree with says something you don't agree with. And what a great place we would live in if we were able to return to a healthy, constructive discourse amongst people that we don't agree with.
That's funny. She said healthy discourse with people you don't agree with. It's not a healthy discourse if you're arguing the merits of capitalism versus socialism, and you're arguing, how do we solve the poverty issue? I think we should do this. I think we should do that. If you were having a discussion on what to do on immigration, on climate change, but that's not what majority of these discussions are turning into. It's not what most of this stuff is. I mean, what I'm seeing is you have echo chambers of people on here, and then occasionally somebody who disagrees with that goes into that so-called that echo chamber, and it gets blasted by a whole bunch of those people. We go in and say something about Fauci on a shit lib, bubble, and then we get all the shit libs who are coming after us. Somebody goes in and says something, I believe that there's two genders. And then you get blasted by the people who, that whole bubble of people who believe that there's a whole bunch. And that's all I see, people going into one area and then getting, ganged up on by all the people who disagree with them. And none of it's ever really fruitful or develops into anything positive. There's very, very little building. And I try to engage with these different people and try to get some of these people like, if you have some disagreements, I would like to have you on the channel. And if we can have a cordial discussion, like I've been trying my best to get a libertarian who wants to shut down all these parts of the government to just get them on to talk to them. And I want to hear how they believe things are going to work out. It could be a possibility that they have other contingency plans for some of the things concerns which I might bring up and say, oh, well, you don't have to worry about that because this is going to happen or that's going to happen. But I'm not seeing any discussions developing. I'm only seeing people in their echo chambers and in their tribes. I'm not seeing, and I would like to be able to have these discussions so that possibility that people can hear all the different so-called nuances that these people have and see where we go with it. But I'm not seeing any of that. Let's see. Freedom for Julian Assange immediately, for free journalists, speech, and free innocent people in prison immediately throughout the world before free speech is all gone. Exactly. They're not even going to do that. And it's funny you talk about the Julian Assange. That reminded me of Marianne Williamson, who went on to Jimmy Dore, which if you guys haven't seen, I guess, I don't know if it's a full interview or it's only the two 10-minute segments that I saw. Definitely recommend it. Let's see, let me get caught up with the chat. Let's see. Yeah, Altrish, you're right. She is calling. Yeah. Let's see. Get caught up. I'm way behind in the chat. All right, cool. Workers, they don't want to have one-on-one. They just want to control every damn thing. Yeah, I try to get these people to talk, and none of these people ever want to come on and talk live with me. I'm like, yo, I'll put a link in the chat. Anybody can hop on the show at any point in time. I have a discussion. As you guys know, the shows we have here are not scripted, and so you can come in and talk about whatever the hell you want to talk about, and um, but that's what shows you a lot of these people are full of shit, because it tells me if you're not willing to have this talk online and hop on a live stream and talk about this, then I know you wouldn't say none of this shit to my face. I mean, when I hear some of the libertarian stuff which they want to do, it just sounds crazy to me. Hey Nicole, how are you? I am good. Let's see. Other things. So let's see. We talked about Yaccarino. I don't think I probably need to bring up anything, any clips or videos from Maui. I'm pretty sure most of you guys have seen it because it's been top news all over the place. I just wanted to say, it's pretty sad what's going on over there. I have heard that, it's because of, I can't remember what type of grass it is, but it's a certain type of grass that was imported to the island, which a lot of the different farmers used to use, that it grows really fast. But since it's been really, really dry, a lot of that has been catching fire and led to the wildfires. Oh, you say you just got here. Don't know what the topic is. Well, I just finished talking about Yaccarino and Twitter and all that, but I'm kind of bouncing around on a bunch of different topics. We still got Maui to talk about, which we're talking about now. Got the Alabama boat brawl that we'll get into at the end. And then I got like one or two other topics that I wanted to get into that I didn't necessarily bring up. And also it's been really, really dry, humid. It's typically a lot more humid there. And Oz asked, why is Hawaii so dry? Now, some said the jet stream has changed and it's led to dryness, unusual dryness. And then you had the hurricane that's been pushing the winds. And so once a fire gets sparked, it's the same thing which you have out here in California. You have like the Santa Ana winds. I've noticed that here in California, it's been more humid. And typically we would get the wildfires right now because it would typically be more dry. But I noticed that right now we have more humidity, and now they're getting the wildfires over there. Now, I've heard some people say, and I'm not trying to say, I don't know if they're right or wrong. I don't know. I've heard some people talk about it could possibly be that they're using a direct energy weapon on the island that caused the fire and all that. I don't know. I don't know enough to say yay or nay on it. All I know is that it is happening, and it's literally the largest natural disaster that they've had for the state of Hawaii. Right now, there's over 80 people who have died, and they say that number is still going as they go through and look for more of the missing persons and bodies that have been lost. Yo, you said T-Live stream was good about direct energy weapons. That's what I say. I don't know. It could be a possibility. I've also heard that Canada, as of late, that the winters have not been getting as cold, and there've been more bear attacks. So we're noticing a change of climate everywhere now. Some people believe that there are machines that they're using that are controlling all the weather around the world and making this happen and that happening. I tend to not lean that way. I believe it's possible to make some things happen. I don't believe that they are literally controlling the weather everywhere around the world. I mean, I don't see the feasibility of it. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe I can have maybe I can see if I can get Ryan on and he can kind of go more in detail on it. Because I think it was his stream that I caught a brief part and he was kind of going in a little bit about that. Do I know the technology exists? Yes. Do I know for a fact that that is the cause of these things? That I don't know. That's where I would kind of lean towards. I don't know. And I'm open to hearing more about it. I mean, years back, Steve talked about chemtrails in the sky, and I was kind of a little skeptical on that. But he's won me over to the chemtrail stuff. So, I mean, I leave myself open on those different things like that. But it's definitely very, very tragic that's going on, regardless of how it's happening. I wonder if Hawaii gets 1/10 of the money going to Ukraine just this month. Yeah, probably. Probably. Mr. Street says, I feel you, Marcus. We don't have proof, but it is suspect. I mean, at this point, I leave everything open. I don't automatically just go to the, nope, you're wrong. I leave everything on the table possibility wise. The only thing I can say is things are going on around the world. Whether we know for a fact how it's happening, I don't know. And I'm not going to stick my neck all the way out there and say something's 100% not true or say something's 100% true. Yeah, great assertion, demand great proofs. I see nothing yet. That's what I'm saying. That's a tall ask for somebody to believe that there's a machine which is controlling. Not only you could spark a fire and the hurricane is going on, but I've heard some people go to the level of saying that the fire is being sparked by a direct energy weapon, and the hurricane itself is being caused by machines that create hurricanes too. That's just a lot, and I do not believe that the power to be have that much control. I mean, I think it's giving them a little bit too much credit that they're actually able to control that much seamlessly and flawlessly. I just don't land there. Let's see what we're saying over here on the Rockland side. FDA was criminal as fuck. I agree. Yeah, a lot of them quit on the FDA for dealing with COVID. Gregory says, you guys, they were trying to put out the fire with energy weapons. I don't know. So he's saying that they were trying to put them out that way. I was hearing that they were trying to start them that way. I don't know. I'll try to dig into more people's theories on it and come back to it. Maybe talk about it next week once we know a little bit more about it. So let's get on to our next topic because I'm running a little bit slower than I planned, but I do like to get to talk to everybody more, so I'm not mad there. Let's get back into what did I have? Oh yeah, let me show you this stuff here. I don't know if y'all have seen this. This story was wild because this is a local story. YouTube censored my heart comment. LO. I'm not surprised. I am not surprised they did. Oh, okay. He had his other knee. Oh, that's good. Hopefully he's recovering well. I know how those suck. I know how much those suck. Needed to play yet. Let me pause that. And yeah, this story, I know most of y'all haven't heard this, but just because of I was like, I got to talk about this, even if it's brief. Even if it's brief. This is what we got going on out here in Orange County.
Text messages tonight that an Orange County judge apparently sent after he allegedly shot and killed his wife. KCAL News reporter Lauren Posen is in Van Nuys tonight with the other details we're learning about this case.
Well, these are those new court documents that are revealing some shocking new details and really for the first time painting a clear picture in this murder case against a one-time beloved judge. Orange County Superior Court Judge Jeffrey Ferguson has found himself on the other side of the courtroom. He's out on bail after prosecutors charged him with killing his wife inside their Anaheim Hills home earlier this month.
I don't want to comment on anything about Judge Ferguson except he is appropriate to the circumstances.
New court documents reveal more about the prosecution's case, alleging Ferguson shot his wife at close range while he was drunk. Minutes after the shooting, they say he sent texts to his court clerk and bailiff reading, "I just lost it. I just shot my wife. I won't be in tomorrow. I will be in custody. I'm so sorry." The couple's son called 911. Prosecutors say when police got to the home, the judge smelled of alcohol and told officers, "Well, I guess I'm done for a while. Oh my God, my son. Oh man, I can't believe I did this." And in the search of the judge's home, detectives with the Anaheim Police Department recovered 47 firearms, including rifles, shotguns, and handguns, over 26,000 rounds of ammunition, and the murder weapon. Ferguson faces up to 40 years in life in prison if convicted.
This was a terrible tragedy for the entire Ferguson family. It was an accident, and it was nothing more than that.
His case will be tried in LA County, but the Orange County DA will still prosecute. The state attorney general's office ruled there's no conflict of interest. It's a decision that's raised some eyebrows.
Even if it's right on the letter of the law, the whole thing sinks to high heaven.
Attorney Steve Meister says it jeopardizes the integrity of the legal system.
There's no way to get around the idea that the DA is under pressure to prevail, to show that they're not kind of soft pedaling on behalf of one of their own.
Now remember, Ferguson is out on bail. So next week, prosecutors are going to go in front of a judge asking for additional bail conditions, including that he surrender his passport and refrain from alcohol. As for when Ferguson will go in front of a judge, that's set for next month. Reporting in Van Nuys, Lauren Posen, KCAL News.
Another debate.
So yeah, that's what we got going on over there. That's what we got going on out here. A prominent judge, kills his wife. Tragedy, accident. He said, "I just lost it." And I guess maybe, I don't know if they were fighting, or does he mean like they just lost it? He just lost it as in he just decided to just pick up a gun and shoot her. I really don't know. I mean, I'm really waiting to hear more details on it, but and I'm pretty sure once the trial gets going, conversations he's had with some of the other employees will let us know if they were fighting, having any problems. But I just thought it was weird. You don't hear every day that a prominent judge just randomly just decides to pull out a gun and, shoot his wife at close range. Mr. Street says people are acting aggressive lately. Seriously. Well, I mean, I know everybody doesn't have the beliefs I have. I've been saying that this is what's coming. I mean, we're going to see more and more aggression, and biblical prophecy speaks of this towards the end days. It talks about all the different storms. Now, you can believe that the storms are manufactured. You can believe that the wildfires, attempts, all that stuff is manufactured. Regardless, prophecy said that all this stuff was going to happen. Now, it could be, you could feel like that there's an extra level behind it, that people are trying to manufacture events to replicate end of days. You could feel like that they're trying to use these events to try to push to a new world order or whatever different types of things. But what I rest on is, nonetheless, how whatever the cause of them, however they're being pushed or however these things are going, they are happening. All of these things are happening, and it's just very interesting that all of this stuff is all happening at the same time. Agreed, Marcus. It doesn't matter how Revelations is happening, but it's happening. That's my point. Revelations doesn't even tell you exactly that, oh, well, it's going to be some people who are going to fabricate the weather. It doesn't tell you that. It tells you it's going to happen. It doesn't tell you that somebody's going to have an earthquake machine. It just tells you that there are going to be earthquakes in the first place. It tells you that the love of many will wax cold in the last days, which that would allude to the people acting more aggressively. No, everybody don't agree with my beliefs. That's fine and dandy. But the one thing I say over and over and over, it is imperative, whether you believe what I believe or believe what other people believe, when it comes to especially these people who are in power, whether you want to call them the elites, whether you want to call them the predatory class, whatever you deem to call them by, the big old club that we're not in, you need to understand the beliefs of those people. Because if they have the level of power that we all believe that they have, then they're going to manifest these things and make these things happen. And they're going to push towards the world or view the world through those different beliefs. And if you don't even take the time to understand what their beliefs are, then it's hard to see what direction things are going to go in to prepare yourself and plan for them. Denver, you're funny. Oh my goodness. Very safe. She wouldn't let that one thing go. I mean, I don't know what it is. I think more than likely they were arguing. He was drunk and he just had way too many guns around the house and it was a little too accessible at that point in time. I do know that something that a lot of people don't talk about much is in states where you typically have, either open carry states or concealed carry states, you actually have a lot more homicides that happen in between people within the house. Whether sometimes that's suicides, whether that's accidental discharges, whether that is, somebody saying, you know what, I'm pissed off. Let me just go outside and go grab my gun quick. You have a whole lot more of that. And I honestly believe like that Florida law, as far as the gun thing, you're going to be seeing more and more crazy shit like this happening in Florida in particular. And Cole says homeless, drugs, unemployment, 10 cities. We are not in a good place. Yeah. And it's getting worse and worse everywhere you go. Out here where I'm at, we're used to seeing it in certain parts of LA. You're used to like Skid Row, some of that stuff like that. But more and more cities around the LA County Metro, you're starting to see it go into more and more areas where it wasn't at before. And so it's starting to become a bigger problem, especially with the and also you have a lot of the homeless population are migrating from other states. You have more people who are deciding, you know what, it's too cold here in Boston. Where am I going to, let me just move out to California because I know that there's these different policies. So while they're trying to address some of the homelessness crisis out here, you also have to deal with the influx of homeless people moving here at the same time. So it's I don't have an answer to it. It's made me from other states where I was in, where I had a clear-cut answer on how I would deal with these things and how I feel they should deal with these things. It's a lot harder out here in California because it's a whole different animal that's going on. Yes, hunger pisses people off more than other things. Right now, starvation is climbing the class tree. Well, Also out here, for instance, in California, which I'm starting to see a trend across the country, you're starting to see the level of inflation that's been going up, especially in the housing market, that is putting more pressure on people. And as you put more pressure on people, and I used to remember every summer, every time the summer comes, and you can look up any statistics of any state you're in. Whenever it gets warmer in the springs and summer, you will see violent crime go up. And so if we have the whole world is getting hotter in general, more agitation to people, and so you're going to see it more and more all over the place. Elwood interviewed someone about poverty in Cali in 2019. It surprised me that city workers have to live in camping vehicles just living. It's some of the stuff that goes on in the city as far as, I mean, like for instance, in most typical normal states, whereas a housing price, a decent single family home might be 200,000. Let's say 210, 215. That same $215,000 home is easily $650,000 here. And the wages are a little bit higher than some of these other states, but not much higher, not that much higher to be able to deal with that. And therefore you have, whereas somebody should be able to have a single family home, now they have to live in like, a 1-bedroom, duplex. It's a lot of problems here. And I feel like those problems are spreading across the country. And food inflation as well is over 200%. Yep. That you have to factor in. Drug prices on different things are going up also. And healthcare is going up. So in every aspect, inflation is taking off. And whether you lean more conservative, whether you lean more so-called liberal, not liberal as in the actual liberal, but you lean more leftward, it's affecting both sides of the house. And it's just a matter of if people will stop looking to this party is the blame or that party and realize both parties are the problem, and neither one is trying to address the problems that are actually going on as a whole in a legitimate or genuine way. Let's see, what else do I have in here? Oh yeah, while we're talking about California and some of the crazy stuff going on, let me show you guys some more crazy California news. Oh, let's pause that. So let me switch back over, put this on the screen.
Hollywood Hills destroyed and invaded by squatters. Air 7 video shows graffiti covering the walls and furniture floating in the pool. Public real estate websites like Zillow show the home before it was trashed, once on the market for $10 million. This beautiful mansion, a very different picture than what police found. Cases like these are becoming more common. Realtor Nevada Solis says she was once showing a home in Westwood when she found a squatter hiding in the closets. It's something that realtors have to be ready for.
It could have been way worse than it was. Thankfully, he just ran out. But he did take a shower in the house, and he was sleeping in the bed. Like, everything was used, all the staging and the towels, and he stained the tub. Like, it was a brand new construction home, but now it had been lived in.
A beautiful mansion set in the Hollywood Hills.
So yeah, that was just something, a quick one that I want to throw in there. You guys can see what's going on out here. Oh goodness, freezing up again. He said, I really hope you sit and meditate when you're done. We're just throwing everything at you. Oh, well, I can handle it. It's not that Honestly, what frustrates me more than anything is this computer freezing up. This bothers me more than anything. I can handle this if my internet would work. All right. Gregory says over here, maybe humanity dooms itself, trying to play God and manifest an uncontrollable extinction level event. Take geoengineering. Maybe it's a still human broke themselves, therefore dooming themselves. 10 cities almost all the way to Chinatown in downtown LA. Yeah. 10 cities never went away after 2008, 2009 collapse. They've grown. And I've seen even like the Walk of Fame in general, many more of those shops and stores closing. And so you, outside of the 10 cities, you have the people who are, more and more people who are living in their cars or living in trailers, not because they want to. I mean, granted, there are some people who decide, you know what, it's too expensive for me to have this house. Me and my family are going to move into this trailer. We got hookups here, like the public park. We can, kind of do that. But there are more people who are living in their vehicles, not by their own choice. Yeah. So, and I mean, 700,000 Denver is nothing. There are plenty of houses that, if you wanted to get, like, say a good, like, what would be like a $300,000 house in some places where you got 3 bedroom, 2 bath, couple of different floors, like 2-car garage, decent front yard, backyard. You're talking about $1 million home out here. And then how they're dealing as far as like putting bids in on houses, it's like you better put down way above that asking price just to guarantee that you get that house. Let's see. So we got that. And then oh yeah. And then hopefully this will work for me, right? Bouncing back and forth. So let me pop back over. Bum, 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 bum. Hey, Myra's mom. Myra's mom is in the building. Good to see you in here. Disgusting rundown homes in Oakland are $800K. Yeah, Actress knows what I'm talking about. Anybody who lives out here in California can definitely understand. Oh yeah, I guess Sunday now, depending on where you are. Hopefully, wherever you all are, you are living there safe and in good spirits and good health. Let's see. Let's put this next one up. Now I know I do talk my trash about certain people. I've talked about how I think Tariq Nasheed is a grifter, but occasionally, I know on a topic like this, he is going to hop all over it, so I can always go to him to be able to get the videos for what I need. Thomas said I saw a video about a homeless man who takes in $35,000 a year, and she lives in home. Oh, wait a minute. Let me just share this first and then read a comment. Let's see. What did you say there, Thomas? It says I saw a video about a homeless woman who makes $35,000 a year. She lives in a homeless camp. Shaking my head. $35,000 would be enough to survive on in South Dakota. Yeah. There are people who are making $40,000 who are scraping by. I mean, you need to either by yourself or with 2 people. You need to be bringing in about a good, I want to say at least 60,000, 50 to 60,000 by yourself, or at least 60,000 combined to just be able to have a place to stay, cars, and I mean just the basics. You're not doing at least 60,000, and you're going to be still scraping by. In all honesty, to live somewhat comfortably, you need to be at least making, either by yourself or combined income to be living comfortably and fine, 6-figure income in California. Let's see. So this is the Alabama boat brawl. I don't know if you guys have caught this. Let me click on it so you guys can hear the sound. All right, so let's give a little context to this for anybody who didn't hear what happened. Basically, the older black gentleman that you'll see in this video starting off, he is a co-captain there on that dock, and he was trying to tell these people. Well, actually, it started off the captain was trying to tell these group of people that you need to move your boat from this area. We're trying to bring in our boat. Actually, he wasn't even telling them to completely move it. He was saying, if you can just move that back a little bit. The co-captain went to go tell them that. After this guy had been on the radio for 45 minutes trying to get these people to move, they're flipping him off and you know, yelling obscenities and saying they're not going to do shit. He goes, looks like I'm blocked on YouTube and some text. Yeah, sometimes YouTube comes in and they cut people's stuff. I don't have any control of. I don't even see it when they block it, because when I see it, I see through StreamYard. So I don't even know exactly what shows up there unless I pull up the live stream over there. He goes and tries to tell these people to move. He can't find the people, so the captain sends some of the crew people off of the co-captain, which is the older black gentleman's co-captain. They move the boat, and then these people start screaming at him, racial slurs and all that. And so that's the context of what's going on. So let's now hop into the video. This right here, I don't know if y'all know about it, but when he tossed the hat in the air, like Bobby Shmurda, this has already been made a t-shirt. I can't wait till I get my t-shirts. I think I'm going to get one about the chair. Also, and I'll give more context after we watch a little bit more of this video. So at this point, what we're actually watching here, because a lot of people were like, it's actually basically 6-on-1. Let me back it up a little bit. The one who's in the blue right here, this is one of the crew members who was there, who helped him move the boat. And when he went in and tried to he kind of tepidly was trying to get them off. This grown man punched this kid in the chest. And that's when you see this other black guy who came down, and he's trying to help break it up until they start attacking him also. Now that's one of my favorite parts. I don't know if y'all seen it, but some of the nicknames they're giving this young kid, the one that's kind of stuck the most, they've been calling him Aquaman. They've been calling him Michael B. Phelps. I mean, I heard Shaquille O'Gills, and I've heard so many terms. Some people are calling this the fade in the water. I mean, I don't know. When these people got a hold of this, the names that they've come up with, it has just been amazing. So let's get back into it. I mean, most of us knew this had to be somebody who was young. I was like, this dude Max can't be no older than 21, 22. Because I don't know how the hell, after you swim over there, that you're able to pull yourself up there on that dock in one motion and then get right to business. I knew he had to be young. And what we found out later on is this kid here who's swimming to his age, 16 years old. Beautiful.
Get up there, young boy. Get up there, young boy. Get up there, young boy. What's up?
Yeah, you done brought the hood now. You ain't fucked up now.
Woo! 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 They scared. Look at them. They scared. Woo! Beat their ass. Woo! Yeah. Woo!
I don't get through here.
What the hell? That was the kid.
Yeah, these white folks don't need black men that work security. We trying to get on the skipper site for the Marriott, trying to come through. And the man was telling them to move their boat because the Marriott couldn't dock so the folks could get off. And everybody on the skipper site, we just wait. Why these folks just swung on and jumped on this black man? Maybe the crew members that jumped off the Marriott, baby. They whooping ass, baby. Now come about that boat, baby. They ready to move up. They ready to move up. They ready to jump in the water.
I don't get through here.
What the hell? Yeah, these white folks jumped on these black men that work.
Oh my God!
He's going to jail. They just get him a felony.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
Yeah. So we'll stop it there. Like I said like I said on my video, which I did on TikTok, I was like, because I heard, man, they did all the memes. They did like, what was it, Avenger memes. They was doing Black Panther, man, everything. I heard all kind of different, memes that they put with this. And I feel like this, if it would have been, if the captain would have been black, wouldn't have been black. If he'd been a white guy, it's a lot more likely that they would have just moved the boat. It's a lot more likely they would just move it. Because they just decided, there's no way I'm about to listen to this black man tell me anything. And in fact, since he decided to just move my boat slightly, I'm ready to put hands on him now. And for anybody who thinks that this was not racially motivated, when they left to go to the hospital afterwards, they basically did not want to receive service because it was a hospital full of, oh, that's right, I might put this on TikTok, so I'll edit myself, a bunch of N-words in this hospital. They even called the police and trying to figure out like the police was gonna do something. From what I understand, that this group of white people are from Selma, Alabama. They didn't realize they're in a part of Montgomery where there's a whole lot of black people, who are not down with the bullshit. And so, like a lot of people said, they fucked around and they found out. And I've heard a lot of white people who are like, no. Even the whole that you would think would be the Jason Aldean types, that they're like, no. They got what they deserved. So I was kind of surprised that I didn't hear as much pushback from the white community. The only thing I really heard from some people was talking about, well, I did hear Marlon Wayans talk about how they shouldn't have, we should have tried to handle this a better way and this and that. I'm like, sorry, bro, I'm not with you. As you guys can see by my shirt, I demand a trial by combat. So obviously I don't have no qualms about getting physical if it got to go there. Of course, I'm going to always try to be diplomatic first and foremost, but if it got to get physical, it got to get physical. That's just what it is. And especially once you put your hands on me, I'm definitely going to put my hands back on you. So these people, I don't condone violence. I ain't even about to give y'all that BS because you already know how I am with it. Let's see. Oh, Oz got a dip. All right, brother. You have a good one, Oz. It was good to have you in here. He said I gotta fade this. This kind of shit makes me so tired. I'm old. But I'm not gonna. You're gonna get the business. I'm coming for you if we're in this kind of situation, and hopefully we don't have to be in this kind of situation. Wesley, what's up, Wesley? Yep, everybody bleeds red. Tammy T says Marlon Wayans tried to backtrack and say that his tweet was meant to be ironic. Oh, okay. Marcus, you gotta get behind the racing. Yes, it's a thing, but you can zoom out and see the root of it all. What is it? It makes trouble. You can see it, bro. Love you so much. Yeah, much love to you also, bro. It's about common sense and respect. And I'll speak for the black community on this one for a moment. There's a lot of pain and trauma that the black community has, and there's a lot that they've held back. And there's a lot that when an incident like this, it's going to bring out a lot of pent-up aggression. In that same state, or was it Alabama or was it Mississippi, which is right next door, where you had the 6 officers who brutalized and sexually assaulted these 2 grown men, and even put a gun in one's mouth and pulled the trigger. This kind of racial tension, especially in some of these other states, is still going on. Anytime something is done to a black man, how so many people rush to the aid of, oh, well, it's not, it wasn't this, and you guys are taking it the wrong way, and always a defense for the people who are doing something wrong, and always a rush to judgment when it's a black person. Well, they must have did something wrong. And it's like, the black community as a whole, ones who are not even engaged in this kind of stuff, they see this, and all this stuff imprints on us that we can't necessarily get a fair shake. So, let's see, what did Chris say? Did you see that interview with Tucker Carlson and Ice Cube? It was good that Ice Cube started. Yeah, I knew how it was going to go, so I didn't even engage in the Ice Cube. But let me get over to Rocky and see what they're saying on this. I like that. World Star. Oh shit! Yeah, you dated yourself, Gregory. So one shit hits the fan, lands where it lands. And people felt like, all upset about the fact that that woman got hit with the chair. Stay out of, and I'm gonna say this, women, if you see your man getting in some shit, do like women used to do back in the day. If you don't want to be in the middle of the shit, yell from the side, y'all stop. But the moment that you jump in the middle of that, and especially if you throw any kind of hands in the middle of it, you're going to get this kind of reaction. I mean, whether you're male or female, if you don't want to be in the middle of a brawl, stay your ass back. There were plenty of people who walked past this and did not. It's not like they attacked every single white person who was standing out there. But if you walked out into that shit, at least have the common sense to stay. Say, for instance, you aren't on the side of those people. Stay the hell out of it. Oh, Mr. Street said, what the fuck did I miss? Sexual assaulted males, when and where that happened. I believe it was Mississippi. The 6 officers that tortured these men. Let's see, was it? I'll double check. 6 officers. Oh, it is Mississippi. 6 white ex-officers in Mississippi pled guilty to assault on 2 black men. Guilty to us. It says that how 6 Mississippi officers tried to cover up the torture of 2 black men. Yeah, that just happened not that long ago, Mr. Streets. And Mississippi is right next door. Tammy says, if you can't hang in a fight, keep your ass out of it. Exactly. Stay the hell out of this stuff. And Nicole was saying in here, and I did want to bring that up. And thanks for reminding me. Let's put this up on the screen. It says, Montgomery, Alabama, that boat dock is about 1,000 feet away from the slave trade area. This is literally pins on where humans were held and sold. Exactly. This is an area where our ancestors, many of our ancestors, were sold on these very docks. And then, not to mention, this is kind of reminiscent. Somebody brought this up, and I kind of forgot about it. This is reminiscent of, was it Detroit or Chicago? The riots on the beach, where a young black kid had his I guess like his little small boat or whatever, it kind of floated into the white section, and they attacked this young kid because he floated too close to the white waters. I didn't even know it was a such thing as the water being segregated, but apparently in this area, that's what happened. And they attacked this kid, and the black population went to the police force, which chose to do nothing. And then that led to a situation just like this, where it was racial tensions that rose, and that led to multiple people being dead, or, unalived. You know, Chris H. says, racism in the U.S. is a massive wound that no one has the desire to heal. A lot of America is in denial about anti-black racism and racist history. And this is my issue with like the whole DeSantis and the people who are pushed back against critical race theory. In any of these projects, okay, if the 1619 project got some stuff wrong, let's figure out what they got wrong and correct it. Let's not try to scrap the whole program. Because what you're doing when you try to scrap these things is, to us who know the history of some of these things, it looks to us like you're trying to dismiss this history and hide it. And like I told this story earlier today, in my ROTC class, this class, yes, it talks about some history, but it didn't have to bring up the story. And this was from This was from a white teacher who decided to show this movie. For those old enough to remember the movie Rosewood, or those who have just seen this older movie Rosewood, it goes into a massacre that happened in a black town. And he showed that movie to a class of, a bunch of different people. We had white people, black people, Hispanic, Asians, everybody was in the class. And what happened was, it didn't make the black kids decide, oh yeah, I'm about to go after white. It didn't make the white kids feel like, oh my God, I'm a piece of crap because I'm white. That's not what happened. What happened was the white kids in that class was like, damn, that's fucked up. We didn't even know that happened. That's messed up. And they felt empathy for our community and what we went through. And what happened was you had more pulling together, and you had some of these kids grow up having more sympathy towards some of the conditions which go on in this country and some of the racism. But when you try to erase this stuff out, what you do is you teach a lot of these kids who never hear any of this history to not have that empathy or sympathy, which raise them into, obviously, it must be either something wrong with them or they're the troublemakers and all this, and never having any context to any of these negative feelings, which leads to more anti-black rhetoric, which you see, for instance, on Twitter and X. It leads to these people having this mentality because we don't hash out or talk about the history, not fully and complete. And so it also, on that one aspect, you have less compassion coming from people in the white community and non-black community. Then on the other hand, the kids in the black community are being taught this regardless if you want to strip it out of schools or not, by their parents and by their family. And so what that does is it starts bringing and adding more separation, because now you're building animosity over here and you're building ignorance over here, which is eventually going to circle back into a problem later on between those two different people when they become adults later on. But the Ron DeSantis's and all these other people who want to push back against critical race theory and all this different stuff, they don't think of it that way. They don't get how you are creating and driving a wedge and keeping a problem going. I'll hear many people talking about, oh, well, see, when you talk about it, you just keep the racism going. No, it doesn't. If you have a problem in a relationship and you never talk about that problem does not go away. It does not go away at all. It just becomes a festering wound that never gets dealt with, which eventually is going to blow up to a problem down the road. All right, be well, Oz. Have the strength of a small kitten. It's throwing them out. Yeah, I mean, people know what you can do. If your role is to try to get help to the situation or try to get the situation diffused, do that. If you're able to step in before it gets to the hand throwing phase, do that. If it's already gotten there and you can't stop it and all you can do is try to film to hey, this is what's going on, then do that. But we all have our own roles that we can play in trying to help or educate those people in your circles so that maybe when they encounter these situations down the road without you being there, those lessons that you impugn on them can stick with them in these kind of situations. Man, communists hate the 1619 Project. Critical race theory, they say, is bourgeois ideology devoid of class struggle. And this is what they'll understand. Though class struggle, we're all dealing with a lot of the same stuff. We're still dealing with race also. And I know a lot of leftists don't get this. Because when I'll talk to people and I'll tell them personal life experiences, which I experienced, they're blown away and shocked at some of the things that I've experienced. And what it is Many of you guys are so focused on the class war and what you see through your purview, you never even come and consult us to what's going on in our world and what we've experienced and what we go through on a regular basis. And therein lies a lot of the problem. And you say that, well, you're you're anti-racist. Well, if you don't ever even acknowledge that a problem is going on, if you don't focus on the problem, how can you fix the problem? There's plenty of white friends that I grew up with that I didn't tell them every racist thing that was happening with me. And I don't think of a lot of you guys who might have some black friends or brown friends or native friends or whatever, that I don't think that you guys realize how many things that they might go through that they never tell you about. I don't know, just some of my thoughts that I'll put out there. Just some of my thoughts I'll put out there. But slavery gave black people skills. Exactly, Thomas. That thinking, and it's like this. The mentality of that assumes that no black people came over here with any kind of skills. That assumes that they needed to go into slavery just to be able to develop skills. Mr. Street says, the world is done. The best thing to do is find God, no relationship. Just remember, I'm with you 1,000%, Mr. Streets. Let's see what we got over here. Okay, cool. We're caught up on that side. But I mean, I just want people to like I remember I was having a conversation with how come I can't remember his name? Man. Israel. His name was it Israel? Oh, I can't remember his last name. But he was talking about, well, why do we need to go into all this stuff like that? And in the very same breath, he started telling me how, like a week before that, he had just learned about the Haitian Revolution. You can't say we don't need to learn about this stuff and then tell me about some stuff that you should have learned decades ago. You're a grown-ass man telling me you don't need to know about history and you're just learning stuff which I knew when I was like 10 years old. And everybody assumes also that what you learned in your area, that everybody is all learning everything. I learned when I got out to the West Coast, there's a lot of history that is not taught out here. A lot of it. And it all depends on which school you went to that you might have even been exposed to. There's a lot of stuff that that on the East Coast, that's not talked about, that happened out here on the West Coast. And because our educational system is not uniform, it's pick or choose depending on where you live, what you're going to know. Thomas says white class reductionists can't walk in the shoes of people living on the res in the hood. They never experience intergenerational trauma. They can't comprehend it. Exactly. It's hard for you to, and they say, well, you weren't a slave. Yeah. But do you know what it's like to hear stories from your grandmother about how your great-grandmother or great-great-grandmother, how she ran from the plantation to the reservation pregnant? Do you know what stories like that feel like, to hear that's your history? Do you know what it feels like for an ancestor or elder to tell you, yeah, at one point in time, some of our family, we owned all this area over here. And now you see that it's controlled by some kind of land developer, people that you never even seen, and you were never compensated for it or compensated pennies on the dollars. I don't think a lot of people get how that affects you and the anger that it puts on you to understand that. I mean, a lot of people don't understand that there were massive kingdoms in West Africa that were prospering, doing well. You had blacksmiths, you had libraries, you had all kind of a civilization that was completely stripped away from you once you got put on those boats or once you got taken off your reservation. A lot of people don't realize there weren't only black people in slavery. There were Native Americans in slavery too. Some tribes were able to continue to fight and keep themselves out of it. Some of them were in it for a time period, but kept having revolts. There were different tribes, which there was we know about the 5 tribes which enslaved black people also. But what about the other hundreds to thousands of tribes which didn't? About the ones which helped take them in, helped them escape? What about the ones who helped migrate runaway slaves through their territories and into Mexico so that they could be free, or into Canada? But I guarantee you a lot of people don't know about this history. But on that note, I'm going ahead and wrap it up. I mean, I got to the main points that I wanted to talk about, of course. I'll read a couple more comments before we close out. Wesley says, and try not to think of the garbage that gets taught in private schools. Oh my gosh. I remember when I was doing delivery and I had somebody talk about, yeah, you don't know about the war of northern aggression. I mean, mind-boggling, some of the stuff. And I'm saying, even in some of this history, we need to teach about, there were white abolitionists. There were former slaves who became slave catchers. Don't talk about that either. I mean, I'm not trying to talk about it from just demonizing one side or the other. I want to talk about it all, because it's all part of American history. Some of these same people who don't want to talk about this history, don't want to focus on any of this stuff, want to act like everything is so buried in the past, but don't get the third stanza of the national anthem, how racist the national anthem is, but then get mad because people would kneel instead of wanting to salute it. They don't even think about that. The national anthem doesn't spit in your ancestors' face, but it does mine. So much I can say. So much I can say. Everyone be blessed and stay woke. All right, Mr. Streets, have a good one, brother. Also, let's be real, even though slavery ended, there were elements that slavery that continued. Read the book Slavery by None. Oh yeah, there were some people who were outright still enslaved, which were hidden in some of these backwater towns. I mean, my grandparents grew up as sharecroppers. What do you think sharecropping is? When you got to work for your land for somebody else. You got to work the land to have a place to stay, and can never really get yourself out from under it. And that's up to my grandmother, who is still alive, which I grew up with. I grew up with my mom too, but I spent a lot of time living with my grandparents. Grandmother, who is this time, 96, I believe. I mean, who went through segregation. I mean, for those who act like this stuff is so far away, you guys know in the state where I grew up, what was it? Desegregation ended in 1997. Like, I remember being bused across town, part of what was called the racial balance transfer. So when people act like this stuff is so long away, it shouldn't be that far away. And many people think that in 1 or 2 generations, we're supposed to automatically just somehow just pick ourselves up by our bootstraps and be caught up to people who had centuries of an advantage. Whew. But I'll leave it on that note. Yeah, R.I.P. to John Brown, one of the strongest and one of the best. Let me check the rock fins real quick. See what we got over there. All right, nothing. No. I'll say, thank you for tuning in, Hemp Car, Denver, Mr. Gregory Walker, Very Safe US Biolabs, even Carpathian 9, even though Carpathian 9 likes to antagonize me, even Carpathian 9. And then shout out to everybody, Jira, Nicole, Chris H, definitely shout out Tammy, Myra's mom, Wesley, Stephen Clary, Thomas, Oklahoma, Miss Streets. Who else we have in here? Chris H, Oz Whistles. I don't want to forget anybody. If I forget anybody, I definitely apologize. Thank God, everybody. I know Atras was in here also. Hamza. Think I hit about everybody. And again, if I miss you, my apologies. But this was a political. 1997. That's when it was, when it ended. 97 was what? Going from my sophomore year to my junior year. I mean, my mom when she went to my high school, she was part of the first black students to go in there in 1976. For people, here's something that a lot of people don't know. In Jacksonville, Florida, up until 1995, a black officer still had to have a white officer patrol with him in black neighborhoods. So a lot of this stuff is still just freshly starting to change, and everybody wants to act like, oh, well, let's just move on. Everything's perfectly fine. Rosewood made in 1997, starring John Voight, Bing Rames, Don Cheadle. Yeah, but on that note, I appreciate all of y'all. Much love. Let me read Nicole's real quick. When she got away, she got all the way to Indiana. Married a black man there with 3 children. She had 9 total. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't realize how much this stuff is all ingrained within us. And so, my sympathies out there to everybody. And, hopefully we all can have more understanding instead of this dismissive attitude some of these people have on these topics. That said, y'all have a great weekend. Hopefully I do something positive. Don't worry, I always detox myself pretty well after the show. That's the way I'm able to get back and start all over again for next week. One thing that was going to get talked about is Red Summer 1919, the Lane Massacre. Actually, look up my video. I did, I believe, on my other channel, Been Thinking with Young Morpheus, and I did a video on going into a lot of the famous black massacres. So definitely check that one out, Chris H. But that note, have a good one, everybody. Much love to all y'all.